Hi everyone, welcome. Thank you so much for choosing to be here with me today. Today we have a new moon in Sagittarius, and it is also December 12th, so we have like double magical day. So I will be doing a new moon reading and 12/12 day together for you. Okay, so let's just go ahead and get started. I have three groups for you. You can go ahead and pick by the card you can see, the number, the sound of my voice, group 1, group 2, or group 3. When you're ready, all the timestamps are below, and I will see you at the reading that you chose. Hi everyone, welcome. This is for everyone who picked group number 1. So you all pick the card. This is a glorious time for me to be on this earth. So this is just a reminder if you've been feeling like, oh my God, there's so much injustice in this world and everything is so messed up and it's so horrible and it's so hard, please know that you're not alone. This isn't a glorious time to like glorify all that stuff. We're not happy about it, right? But the fact that you're here and you're able to see injustice, that you're able to see things that are not fair, you're able to see ways the world needs to improve, like that's your gift to give. What you want to focus on and how you want to give and how you want to give back and make the world a better place, not bitter, better place. This is a bitter world, but a better place. That's what we want to focus on, right? So knowing that step one is recognizing that there is a problem and there is an issue and there are things that are unfair and there is oppression and there are all these things going on. And so if you are able to do that and then to recognize like, okay, I'm here to be of service and to do God's will and to do, take care of other people and make the world a better place for others, not just because this isn't just all about me and getting everything I want and my life should be completely easy and blah, 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 right? Part of why we're here is to help other people, to advocate for them, to look out for them. So if you needed that reminder, it's a reminder that like it's not just about ourselves being here, it's about what we can do for others and being, of service while we're here, right? Muhammad Ali said, the service we do for others is the rent we pay while we're on earth, right? So what communities do I like helping? Who do I want to work with? Who do I want to engage with? How do I want to engage? What are my skill sets? What can I do to give back? If you've been feeling disconnected, it's probably because like you're not helping someone else or working with someone else or advocating for them or whatever, right? Doing these things really connects something in our soul that is not super encouraged by capitalism, by individualistic culture, by all of that. And so just being of service to other people, showing up, using your skills and talents, that's very healing and offers something very gentle and kind and also we learn the grace of how to receive as well when we do that. So, just remembering like if you're feeling disconnected, if you're feeling powerless, there's always someone or something you can contribute to and really leaning into that and not just like, look at all these things I can't control and I can't whatever, right? Everyone can do something. And so starting with that and having faith that that's what you can do. And then also this card, this is a glorious time for me to be on this earth. Does have a beautiful sunset on there. I love the sun. So just a reminder that amidst all of that stuff, nature is still here. Thank God. It's so beautiful. We can spend time in nature. We can be there. We can do all of this. And so just a reminder that we also get to cherish this physical world that we get to be in as well. And we get to be on this earth with all these magical, amazing creatures and things and just sentient beings and just the earth. It's amazing. So just really spending time and appreciating that as well. Okay, I'm going to start with your tarot cards. And then we'll look at um, some oracle cards for you. Group 1. Yeah, I mean, you know what to do, so let's do it, okay? Not in like a mean way, okay. We have the Queen of Cups, the Chariot, and the King of Wands. Queen of Cups flew out of the deck as soon as I started shuffling, so you do have a lot of emotional intelligence, group 1. You do have this awareness of like, this is what I can give. This is what my skill sets are. This is how I can contribute to the world, right? And then the Chariot is about forward motion. It's about continuing to move forward, doing things like that. And then the King of Wands is like this passion and this like emotional mastery of like, where am I putting that energy? So this to me is really saying, the glorious time for me to be on earth and of being of service. Like if you feel disconnected and off, it's like, what are you doing for others? What am I doing for other people? How am I leveraging what I have access to, even if it's just educating myself, volunteering my time, donating to a charity, calling my representatives, if that's somewhere where you live, where that happens, right? What am I doing to advocate for other people? And just showing, what am I doing to use my emotional intelligence and my passions and my skill sets to move this earth forward, to do things that give back, to do things that contribute to this world being a little more just and a little more peaceful every single day, right? And everyone can't do everything, so this isn't like, to go to burnout or whatever, but being uncomfortable, pushing ourselves, doing things that do contribute to the world, it's very important. We need everyone doing their part, all of that. And so this is really saying to me, like, taking the time to balance that inner world and then making sure you're not just staying there and being totally disconnected and spiritually bypassing the world, right? You want to do all of that and what you're doing for this world, thinking about what can contribute, how am I contributing it, how am I spending my time, and again, like that, sometimes we feel off because we're not connecting to the world around us and giving back or contributing or being of service in the ways that feel good to us and ways that feel like, okay, I know I can do that. And it doesn't have to be everyone, doesn't have to be this big, huge, giant thing, right? Small actions add up if all of us are doing our part. Like, that's really important. And so just really trusting the emotional intelligence and the passion you feel called to is going to help you, again, feel more balanced, feel like you're contributing to the world, feeling like you're doing something and doing your part. Okay, next we have the Queen of Wands, the Tower, and the Seven of Wands. So again, more Queen energy. I feel like this is maybe there's some fear here, some resistance of like, well, I can't do that, or I can't change this, or I can't whatever, or maybe there's some loss of like, well, I have to let go of some identity, or I have to I don't know, maybe I tried to do something in the past and I got hurt, or I whatever, right? But what I'm really seeing here is like the Seven of Wands to me is always about um like carrying this fear of something that isn't there anymore, not in like a dismissive way, but just like there is a point in time where we are in our comfort zone and we're a little too comfortable, but it's up to us to push ourselves out to get to the other side. And so recognizing that, and then this Queen of Wands again, trusting your passions, trusting what feels good for you. And the Tower, like letting go what needs to let go of. It could be beliefs you've held about the world. It could be, these things we've leaned into that we found out maybe aren't the most true anymore. It could be relationships that have to shift and change. It could be how you spend your time, where you buy, like where you spend your money, where you buy things from, right? You have to like let go of these things so that this new awareness and new passion and like you're living a life that's aligned with your values, and that comes in how I speak, who I engage with. Obviously, not we don't have control over every single one of those things, but the ways that we do have control, the ways we can set limits and boundaries and say no to different things, right? That's important for us to look at, and that's what we want to focus on. And just remembering, like, you know, if I know in my heart what I'm called to do and what feels right to me, I have to lean into that and trust that. And like being uncomfortable doesn't mean that it's not the thing for you. It just means you're uncomfortable, which is fine and reasonable because that's what happens when we grow and change and like, do something different with our time and energy. So discomfort coming up is a sign that you're pushing yourself out of your comfort zone, that you're doing something different, that you are on your way to, becoming this next version of yourself, which is always, you know, always not the most comfortable or like thing we want to do sometimes, right? We can tend to want to cling to some of these old parts of our lives. Yeah, I mean, you do have a choice here. And again, the choice is about choosing from your conscious. So we have the Two of Wands, Judgment, and the Knight of Swords. And once you do that, I feel like all this fear, is just going to go out of the way and you're going to be so ready to move forward, right? So taking time to pause and turn inward and be like, what works for me? What do I want? How do I want to do this? What's, living in alignment mean for me? And just remembering, like, what does integrity mean to me, and do I live and exist in that way? Do I do things that feel like I'm doing that? Am I proud of the way I'm acting, the way I'm spending my time, what I'm doing, the people I engage with, the hobbies I have, right? Am I proud of that? And then once you do that and you have that clarity, it's just going to encourage you to keep moving forward and just be like, all right, it's time for me to do this. That's what I'm going to focus on. That's what I'm going to do. Okay. So just really trusting that when you turn inward, you might be fearful of like, I don't know what to do. I'm like, this feels bad to me. I'm just overwhelmed with everything. But once you do that and you get clear within yourself and you have those honest conversations with yourself, that's going to result in, you coming out on the other side of this and just trusting that, again, these things will lead you on your path to the things that are for you, the things that feel fulfilling, part of being of service and why we're here and showing up for other people, and really evaluating that and trusting that If your morals do change, that's totally okay. And that's part of, uh, you know, part of why we're here on Earth is to grow and change and become different versions of ourselves and expand in all of those ways. Okay, I'm gonna look at an oracle card. Double mission, light worker, star seed, serve the world by being you. Yeah, so I mean, this is really much the theme of your reading, group one, of just like, there can be this disconnect of like, what am I doing? How am I showing up? What's happening, right? And this doesn't mean spiritually bypass or be like, I don't have to, I just have to worry about myself. Like, absolutely not. If you really care about being spiritually in tune, that means you work for justice for all beings on earth and ending oppression against all beings on earth. And so this is really remembering that, the very specific, unique things you're drawn to and the very specific gifts you have, those are for you so that you can use them in a way that the whole world can be like can benefit from them. And can just be this way that really honors that and really honors God and how God created you and your specific gifts and talents for what you can give to this world. So serve the world by being you, right? And then when things fall apart and change, like this tower card that we had, sometimes that can be a reminder that things change and fall apart because we're becoming more of ourselves, right? We were tapped into this one thing for a long time, and then it's like, okay, that doesn't work for me anymore. I need to be different. I want to do something different. And so trusting that, serve the world by being you, that's enough. Using your gifts and talents and trusting them and pushing yourself, right? But you don't need to bend or fold or minimize yourself or be small or whatever to do the work that you're here to do. It is about just honoring what's in your heart and honoring what you feel drawn to and called to. Time to heal and rise. Yeah. So again, I think being of service is pretty much the theme for you guys, group one. Just really like, again, this fearfulness of like, I don't know what to do. Can I do this? How can I do this? Right. Letting go of that and instead just really owning it and trusting, what you know in your heart and just saying, okay, I'm ready to do this. I'm ready to be of service. I'm ready to embody myself. I'm ready to move forward. I'm ready to do this. And that doesn't mean that, you become this like capitalistic CEO, billionaire, whatever, right? But it does mean like, okay, these are the places I know I've been being small and pretending like these are things I don't want or aren't good for me or whatever. And these are the ways that I'm going to step into owning that and becoming who I can feel in my heart and who I want to be and all of that is for me. Okay, I'm going to close with one affirmation card for you, group one. It is safe to ask for help. Okay, so I think this is um ask for help for yourself, obviously, whenever you need help and support and all that. But going with the theme of your reading, I feel like this is saying, like, don't do it by yourself. There are organizations that exist, there are people that are doing work, there's organizing that's happening for the things you care about and the things you're drawn to. So go to them, go to people who have been in this fight, who have been doing these things for a very long time. Or if you personally have been invested in this a long time, find community around it. Find people who are going to work with you and be with you as you are of service and you are committed to doing these things for the earth and for other people. So it's safe to ask for help. You don't have to do it by yourself. You can work with other people. Highly encourage it. Very helpful. Okay. But it's safe to ask for help. Yeah, that's everything I have for you. Thanks so much for choosing to be here with me today. If you ever want any more information about me, all that is linked below. Thank you so much, and I hope you have a wonderful day. Hi, everyone. Welcome to everyone who picked group number 2. So you all picked the card. As I breathe deeply, I feel myself thrive. So this is a reminder that when there's a lot of things going in our lives, in the world, and whatever, sometimes we can forget to breathe. We can lose this mind-body connection, and we can be really focused on like, I need to get this thing done. I need this thing to happen. Change isn't happening fast enough. What's going on? I feel so helpless. I feel so powerless, right? But when we are able to take a deep breath, stop the story in our minds, get back into our body, that does so much to just kind of level things out, to feel more peaceful, to feel more clarity, to feel more connection, to be able to put a pause between how we feel in our hearts versus what we want to keep doing. And just really remembering like, there is so much for me here, and the body and being in tune with our body and listening to that and making time to hear that instead of just reacting to a lot of these outward things, which again, we need to be doing things in this world. Like, we're not stupid, right? We know we have to engage in the world and we need to be doing things where we care about other people where we are working towards a more just and kind world, right? But we can't be successful at that unless we have this connection to ourselves where we are able to still be kind to ourselves to develop that, right? And that doesn't mean spiritually bypassing, doesn't mean turning away from something, it doesn't mean not pretending like something's happening, but it's like, have I taken 10 seconds to deep breathe today? Do I start my day and end my day with just like my hand on my heart and a few deep breaths, right? And just remembering like how empowering that is, how wonderful it feels to really connect with ourselves in that way, to feel more clear, to feel more whatever, right? Instead of just like moving around my day mindlessly, pointing at this, this, and this, doing all of these things, right? So, um, as I breathe deeply, I feel myself thrive, just like, and not even thrive, but just being at peace and just being like, okay, I'm not in survival mode. I can be here. I can do this. I can have this connection with myself, with my body, with all of those things, and breathing deeply is like the first step of that. And just remembering, like how do I how do I make time for me um to just have that space for me and myself and for me to feel connected and clear to myself. And again, not to the point where again you're spiritually bypassing, you're ignoring things, you're tapping out of this world, right? But just how do I maintain that connection to myself? How do I maintain those things? Because if I really want to be of service, if I really want to be functional in this world, like I know I need to, you can't pour from an empty cup. I know I need to focus on myself to a certain degree and make sure I'm giving myself um this love and care, right? Another way you can look at it is like, if I want to show up for these things around me, if I want to be able to function at my highest capacity, I need to be giving myself that love and care and affirmation of those things. Okay, I'm gonna look at some tarot cards for you guys. Yeah, I see a lot of protection of the self coming up, okay? So, maybe you've had to set some boundaries, maybe you've had to walk away from something, maybe you've had to be like, this isn't working for me anymore. Um, and it probably feels hard, right? So here we have the Six of Swords and Four of Pentacles, right? So this is about loss, it's about tragedy, letting go of something, and even a choice we make to let go of something, or even a way that we choose to say, like, I don't want this particular thing in my life anymore, right? That can feel sad. A loss we choose is still a loss, right? And going through this process, and even when it means like if we're choosing a loss, but it means I'm respecting myself, sometimes that can trigger old stuff too of just like, wow, think about all the times that like I can't believe I even put up with that, or I can't believe, this was my situation again. Or if someone was mean to us, like that's obviously allowed to feel sad too. So going with that, and then of course, a response to protect ourselves is natural when these things happen. And so, really protecting the heart and really feeling like I'm not doing this again. I don't want to do it again. I'm not opening myself up. I'm, again, normal response, common response to being harmed, being hurt. But what I'm really seeing with this, with the Six of Wands after that, is like if you acted in a way that was, you stayed in your integrity and you respected yourself and you said, no, I'm not doing this, or these are my values and my standards, and this is like what is allowed in my life. Even if you go through this loss, as time goes on, you'll be so proud of yourself that you respected yourself, that you stood up for yourself, that you did a lot of these things in order to show up for yourself in a way that feels like you respected yourself, right? Respecting yourself is the gift that will continue to like pour into itself and affirm you as time goes on. So even if you don't believe it right now, right? Living in an ethical way, living in a boundaried way, living in a way that is aligned with integrity, no matter what you lose right now. And again, not minimizing loss, because I know that is very triggering and very painful, right? But this, you'll be, in 1 year from now, you'll be so proud of yourself that you lived with integrity and stayed within your ethics, and that your boundaries and your standards were not for sale, were not for manipulation, were not for compromise, right? So, this trusting this process, and again, I'm not saying that to be crass. I know these things are very painful, okay, but just really trusting that when you leave something for the sake of respecting yourself, it's okay if you want to take a little time to heal, to protect yourself, to not come out of the other side yet. But just really look at like, you know, trusting that there will be a day where you are able to be like, I'm proud of myself that I did this. I'm proud of myself that came out of the eye on the other side, and all of that. All right, King of Wands, the Chariot, and Knight of Swords. Yeah, so I feel like once you do that, that's all going to culminate into this energy of like, wow, I did do that, right? Sometimes when we make hard decisions, when we stand up for ourselves, when we hold a boundary or a line that we never had before in our life, it can be really painful because we're scared what's on the other side of that. But again, as time goes on, as you continue to show up for yourself, to stay committed to yourself, to doing these types of things, right? This is only just going to get affirmed further for yourself of like, I did it, I'm in my power, I know what's going on. And then that feeds into itself and allows you to move forward with this energy of like, I'm moving forward, I'm doing what's right for me, I'm choosing all of these things, right? And then that even further, like Chariot is like slow and steady forward motion. Like maybe it feels like nothing's happening, I don't know what's going on, I'm doing this, right? But again, staying in your power, staying in alignment, staying connected to these things that affirm to yourself that like, I'm doing what I need to be doing. I know what I need to be doing, all of that. And then this Knight of Swords is just about like, full-blown motion, right? All of it is it's going to be like a drop in the bucket until it like overflows completely. And you're like, oh my God, I have so much momentum. I have so much focus. I have so much to do now. Okay, so being able to move forward and do all of that and just trusting that like every time you choose yourself, every time you choose boundaries, every time you choose to act in a way that is connected to integrity and values and ethics, like all of those add up and eventually that's going to overpower the fear voice or the, well, maybe I have to be small, maybe I have to not, open my mouth about these things. Maybe I can just, smile and, be like, this is fine, right? Maybe I could just fold myself in and do this, right? You don't have to do that anymore. And this is just, again, all of that momentum is going to add up. And every time you do it, you reaffirm to yourself that it was worth it, that you can keep going, that, all of that for yourself. Um, and just, again, trusting that like when you build yourself up, it takes some time, but it is worth it. And the other side is worth the momentum and the trust in self that you are developing from saying no to something that asked you to compromise yourself, to bend your standards, to lower your values, to not live in integrity in a way that feels good to you, right? And just really, yeah, honoring that within yourself. Okay, let me just get one more group of cards here for you. The seeds are planted. Okay, the seeds are being planted. So we have the Seven of Pentacles, Knight of Cups, and Three of Cups. Keep planting the seeds, okay? You will be able, you know, there's the saying, the story, I don't know, it's not a saying because it's kind of long, but when you plant the seed, you don't dig it up every day to see what's happening, right? You just have faith in the process. You have faith that showing up for yourself is doing something. You have faith that, okay, on the other side of this, there will be something for me here. I will be able to see changes in my life. And so, that's what having faith and working on ourselves and growing into a better version of ourselves is. It's a lot of faith. It's just like I'm having faith that these things will turn out into something that is valuable to me, that means a lot to me, even if I can't see how or why right now. And again, more of this slow and steady wins the race energy of just like, okay, here it is. Here's my cup. I'm moving a little slower, right? So before we just had the Knight of Swords, which is like, I'm so ready to take action. I'm so ready to be different. I'm so ready, but then we still have to plant the seeds every day. We have to do this every day. We have to do all of that. And then having faith that, those things will add up together. We will be able to move one step forward at a time, all of this, and things will, again, that momentum, I just keep seeing like the wheels that like are moved because water drops on them and they keep going, right? Just keep saying that, like, it's gonna be a cycle that feeds into itself, that pushes you to move forward, that keeps doing, all of those things. And then this Three of Cups is about celebration. So it could be about finding community, it could be about finding like-minded people, it could be about finding people who are live in the same way you do, just really affirming that, finding, people who do affirm that for you. For some of you, it could be a romantic partner, really opening yourself up to that and trusting that that person will find you when you do live with these integrities and these values and these standards, right? Of like, this is what's allowed in my life. And so I'm not doing this to manipulate someone because if it's not that person, it's fine. I'll wait for the one who it is for me. But it is about trusting that like, this is what's allowed in my life. And then now I get to choose from there what actually is a good match for me. And so again, like trusting the process, taking one thing at a time, being responsible for yourself, doing these things in a way that again, you turn inward and really feel that. So when we think about the beginning of the reading, right, of breathing deeply, it's like you have to turn inward to hear what is the right guidance for you. There is so much guidance in this world, and there are many paths that could be applicable to you, but it's about turning inwards and again, just doing that breathing deeply and just saying like, is this really what I want? Is this really how I want to be acting? Is this really what I want to say my life is? Is this really what I want to say how I'm doing? Like, is this really me living in my integrity and doing the best I can? If it is, great, right? But, and not in a way to like beat yourself up about it, but it's like really turning inward and being like, what is the thing I want to do? What are the rules I want to have in my life, the standards, the boundaries? And again, not in a way that's like harming you, but just in a way that is about like, this is what I know I need to do and what I will do to make myself feel, um, seen and heard and taken care of. And like I'm listening to myself, I know myself, and I can and will show up for myself. Okay, I'm gonna look at a few oracle cards for you, group 2. Well, this one flew out of the deck. Child of the cosmos, the intelligence of the universe lies within you. So yeah, so this is again just a reminder that like the answers are within you. It's okay to seek outward information. It's okay to be like, let me see what's out there, let me see what works for me, let me see the truth, right? But none of that um truth should feel like truth to you unless it feels like truth to you inside, right? So the intelligence of the universe lies within you, of just like what feels right for you and what doesn't. And sometimes, it takes a little bit of time for us to figure it out and sort it, and takes trial and error, and that's okay. So sometimes we don't know right away. Sometimes it does take effort for us to figure out this is for me, this isn't for me, this is a good thing for me, this isn't whatever, right? But you still can turn inward and get some clarity around that. And again, this deep breathing, this mind-body connection, this how am I feeling in my body today? What sensations are speaking to me? What's going on? What's, like all of that is important for you to turn inward and connect with yourself there. And again, trusting you can turn outward for information and for guidance, but the inner authority is important also as well. There are things to unlearn, but there is an inner voice as well to hold space. I mean, okay, I don't know what to say. That's what I just said. So very clearly, again, listening to the inner voice, turning inward, breathing deeply. All right, pretty clear for you, group 2. Okay, I don't really know what to say besides I just said that, right? But so listen to inner voice. What's it saying to you? All those things. Okay, we'll close with one affirmation card for you, group 2. I choose to live with ease. Okay, so this is not about, where you tap out of life and you don't care about anyone, or you don't like, care about what's going on in the world or anything like that, right? This is about living with ease in terms of like breathing deeply, listening to my inner voice. I don't have to wrestle with myself. I don't have to fight myself. I don't have to talk myself out of what I know is or isn't okay for me and allowed to have in my life, right? So I choose to live with ease. There's a reminder of like, I don't need to fight myself. I don't need to keep doing this thing over and over and over again to the point that I ignore my own intuition, my own inner thoughts, my own whatever, right? So I choose to live with ease. It could just be like, I don't need to have this push and pull back and forth within myself anymore. I don't have to um talk myself out of every single thing I want to do, right? Sometimes we don't know and we just take action and we get more clear. Sometimes we just need to follow the hunch and see what happens, right? So I choose to live with ease by choosing to trust what I feel in my heart, with this inner voice, with where I want to go, what feels right to me, what feels like okay and not okay, what feels like my boundaries and feels like my limits. Okay, that's everything I have for you. Thank you so much for choosing to be here with me today. If you want any more information about me, all that is linked below. Thank you so much, and I hope you have a wonderful day. Hi everyone, welcome. This is for everyone who picked group number 3. So you all picked the card, I choose my unique path to joy. So this I feel like is about the physical path to joy, and it's also about like the mental and emotional path to joy. So we all get bombarded with all this messaging through media, through our cultures, through our families, through our friends, through our workplaces, through our whatever, right? Of like, you need to be on this timeline doing this thing in this unfolding in this format at this age at this place at this whatever, right? With this much money and this job and this size and this whatever, right? But the truth is that there are infinite ways to have the human experience, and there's your way to have your experience. And so just being really intentional about like, I get to choose my unique path to joy. That's physically what your life looks like, right? And just like, and obviously, we're not in control of everything, but it's okay if you want to do something on a different timeline or a different way or a different unfolding than what you feel like the messaging and programming you've gotten your whole life is to do. It's okay if you want to emotionally choose something that maybe doesn't make sense, right? That it's like, well, on paper, this one seems like so much better, but this is the thing that actually fulfills me and what makes my heart excited and what really feels like truth to me in a way that like I can live out what feels good and righteous and true for me, right? So choosing our own unique path to joy is about trusting that we know ourselves the best, trusting that we know what works for us, trusting that we can move forward in the way that honors ourselves and all of these things moving forward with that. And I think the imagery on the card is really beautiful too, because it's like two people on a ship, right? So it's not even just like we're not choosing in isolation, right? There is a power greater than us. There are things going on outside of our control. So it's just about trusting that, like, okay, these are the choices I want to make, whatever, but we're still being led down the river of life. So if things don't go exactly your way, or if it's a little bit of a different unfolding, or if there's something that you wouldn't have chosen for yourself or a factor in there that whatever, right? It's like, how am I adjusting and moving with that instead of just like, I get to pick on paper exactly the thing I want, blah, 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 right? It's very self-centered. It's like making ourselves on the same level as God. And obviously, it's important for us to have goals and dreams and desires and with these things, but letting ourselves adjust and change with the river of life also is an important part of this. And choosing your unique path to joy is also adjusting, like, okay, well, in an ideal world, I would be able to do this thing, but because this other thing's happening, I know I'm going to adjust and change. And that requires emotional maturity, it requires spiritual maturity, it requires like being humble enough to move through that for yourself. And so yeah, choosing your unique path to joy is just really a reminder that like you know yourself the best, you know what works for you, you know what has worked for you and is going to work for you. Um, and again, not in a way that's like dismissive of your experience, but you are able to decide, okay, this is what I'm going to do with what's been given to me and the life I have and meshing that with what I can feel and aligns in my heart. So I choose my unique path to joy. And again, also letting yourself be fulfilled with things that maybe the world tells you isn't fulfilling, right? Like, do I want to be the CEO of a company or am I fine with this other thing, right? Do I want to work 80 hours a week or is this fine what I'm doing here, right? Do I need to have 20 million romantic partners or is this okay like this, right? So letting ourselves like trust what feels right to us or like, I want this specific job because that's what the society tells me, but maybe I'm more content and more fulfilled doing this other thing, right? So listening to ourselves and trusting that, you will discover yourself along the way and cultivating that peace and contentment and happiness within the boat of life. Okay, go with me here, right? Within the boat of life is just as important as the thing you're working towards and what you want to get. And so it's like, how can I be present for myself with that process and moving forward in addition to, what I need to be doing for myself with that. And again, so choosing your unique path to joy is just like you get to be on your timeline and your unfolding, and you get to choose in relation to your life, not like, what does society want from me? What does my family want from me? What does my friends want from me? What is my, whatever, right? It's like, what does media tell me I should want for myself? It's like, what do I want for myself? And not in like, again, a way that's super selfish, you don't think about the world besides yourself, right? But what is going on for me that shows me, okay, this is actually what feels like the right and perfect thing for me, not these things that I think I need to be doing or the timeline I need to be doing them or, whatever. Okay, I'm gonna look at some tarot cards for you, and then I will do some affirmation cards for you. Three. Yeah, I feel like, you might have turned the hose off of I just got an image of like a hose turning a hose off. You might have turned the hose off of like your inner questioning of yourself or figuring out, what do I want? What is going on here? What things go right for me? Um, so we have the 7 of Swords, the 4 of Pentacles, and the 8 of Pentacles. So this is just remembering like, you don't have to, some people put this card with like deceivery and trickery, right? Um, Deceivery, I don't know if that's the word, deception, okay, and trickery, but this is about, just because you see people in the world acting like that, or you see, okay, this is the way I guess I have to do it, or I have to whatever. Like, this is about living in your truth and trusting, like, this is what feels right to me, and I don't need to do, and not, it doesn't even have to be deception or trickery, right? I don't have to do the path that I feel like has been told and given to me that I need to be doing. And maybe you bought into that for a little bit, no judgment, we all do. We have to push against that intentionally. And so, sometimes that can block our heart to ourselves. So this is the card I saw where I saw the image of the hose being turned off. And so just really thinking about, what does that mean for me? And what does it mean for me that I want to reconnect to myself and hear what's in there, and just get more clear about what works for me and what doesn't work for me, right? So how do I do all of that for myself? How do I unblock that, and instead, take these coins out one by one, line them all up, look at them, work on them, nourish them, think about, what do I want? What do I want in, like, my financial life? What do I want in my relationships? What do I want in my career and my creativity and my whatever, my friendships, my how I spend my day-to-day time, my hobbies, right? So how are all these things going to work together for me in order to take care of myself and show up in that way? So choosing your unique path to joy does start with connecting to yourself, with hearing yourself, with, how can I rebuild that relationship with myself in a way that, I hadn't before, or maybe, it got pushed out of me, or I got not encouraged to look at it, or, anything like that. So, yeah, just turning inward and saying, like, okay, what have I maybe believed that I don't need to believe anymore? And again, no judgment. We all do that. I've done that many, many times. Okay. It's part of being alive. And what can I let go of? And what story helped me for a little bit, but now I don't need it anymore, right? How can I change these things and do something different for myself? Okay, I'm gonna look at some more tarot cards for you. That's interesting. So we have the Page of Cups, King of Swords, and Page of Cups. So two pages, which is like new beginner energy, right? Surrounding this King of Swords, which is like more mature, clear energy. So I think let yourself be surprised by when you turn inward, what comes out. Just let yourself listen. Don't be judgmental, but just kind of, oh, well, that's interesting. I feel like that. Or, let me follow this thought and see what that actually means to me, or what it actually feels like for me, right? So letting yourself be surprised by when you turn inward and saying, wow, that's interesting. I wonder what could happen for me. I wonder what that could be like for me, right? And then this King of Swords is about mastery and just trusting that, like, okay, maybe, these are the boundaries I've put up and these things I've learned and the ways that I have been able to choose myself and stand up for myself, but maybe I don't need to do those as intensely as I used to, right? So this could be about, what are the ways I can soften some of those boundaries? I can let go. I can be a beginner in terms of, like, and not in a way that you have no boundaries and you let anything in and you whatever, right? But, maybe my boundaries were really, really rigid, and there was a certain thing for me and stuff. And now this other side is like, okay, I don't have to completely get rid of them and they're completely porous, but it's like, what's the middle ground here? So letting yourself be surprised by what you want to do, and then finding adjustment between these two, of like, okay, this is super, super rigid, this is super, super porous. What do I want now moving forward with my boundaries and choosing my unique path for myself? What does that look like for me? What do I want to do? How do I want to move forward with that? And trusting again, like, I can choose my own unique path to joy, to what my life looks like, to my boundaries, to what works for me, to what doesn't work for me. Okay, so really trusting yourself with all of that, and not just, I have to do it this particular way because that's what I always did, or that's what, society told me, or my family told me, or blah, 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 whatever, right? It's like, what's the middle ground here? How can you adjust to that? How can you allow yourself to have boundaries in a way that feels like you're still honoring yourself, but you're still, you know, protecting yourself, creating the space that works for you, saying this is what is allowed and not allowed in my life, with that. And again, knowing that, like, you can look outside of you for examples, for structure, right? We learn from modeling. We see, okay, these are certain ways other people have done these things before, which is great and helpful. But you don't need to buy into that just because it's something you've seen 100 million times, something you used to do before, something you thought you wanted, but you don't want anymore, right? So what does that mean, for yourself with that? Okay, then we have, wow, the Wheel of Fortune, Ace of Swords, and the Emperor. Accept help, okay? So this is, I think, what we're getting very clearly here. I don't believe in the individualistic, narrative of spirituality, of creating your life, of all of that, right? So remember, you are in the river of life. You're responding to life. There are forces at play that are bigger than you. There are things going on in this world that are bigger than us, right? And so when we think about the Wheel of Fortune, the Wheel of Fortune, Ace of Swords, and the Emperor. When we think about the Wheel of Fortune, we can think about like, okay, what are the fated changes here? What are things that are going on in my life that will help me, be on my path, right? Maybe you want this particular job, and then you see a job posting and you're like, oh my God, that's my dream job. I can't believe that exists. I can't believe that's for me, right? Or, sometimes we can have this image of what we want. We make the blueprint, and then like God fills in the details for us in a way that's like so wonderful and magical, and like these things are a match for us and what we want and what we need. So letting yourself be led, letting yourself knowing which things we can control and which things we can't control, and just getting clear that, this beautiful, shining, powerful hand here, right? It's like that is what is helping you and protecting you and helping you get to where you want to go. And when you do that, we have this Emperor energy. I love the Emperor because he's just hanging out on his throne, he's chilling, but he also has his armor on. And so trusting that like as you pave these new boundaries, as you make this new way for yourself, it doesn't mean that you're going to give up how you show up for yourself and what you want to do. It just means that you are able to create new space for yourself and trust that like, okay, I don't need to be in attack mode all the time. I don't need to be turning my connection off from myself anymore, right? It's like I can have this balance, again, this middle ground of not super rigid and not totally porous of like nothing existing. I can be in the middle ground with that for myself. I'm really honoring that. And trusting again, like letting some of these faded changes take place in a way that we can't control everything. And when we just focus on what's in our control and focus on how we're showing up in our day to day, things come together so much more beautifully than what we try to force for ourselves most of the time. Because guess what? God's smarter than us. Thank God. Okay. I just want to get just two more for you. Oh, are you afraid, group three? I have the Queen of Wands and the Three of Swords. So I feel like, this is life is not sunshine and rainbows. Okay. I'm not saying that in a mean way, but maybe the message I'm getting is like maybe you think you could protect yourself from horrible things and hard things, right? Suffering is part of life. Things not going our way is part of life. Not to romanticize it and not to be like, wow, yeah, give me more of that. This is amazing. Okay. But I just um like surrendering to the fact that, like going back to this Emperor card of like, you have your boundaries and you can take care of yourself as you need to, surrendering to the fact that there will be unideal things that happen in our life. And so trusting this Queen of Wands energy of just like, I can handle it, I can do it, I can take care of myself, right? I know I can recover from things. I trust myself to find my way for myself, even if something like unideal happens. And again, we're not romanticizing here. We're not being like, yes, give me more hardship, right? But those things will keep happening to us because that's the nature of life, right? Everything changes. Things don't go our way. Again, there's something more powerful than us going on here. And so, do I trust myself to be able to handle when things don't go my way, to rely on my support system, to choose my unique path of how I want to deal with this, how I want to handle it, how I want to show up for myself, how I want to take care of myself, how I want to respond to these things instead of just like reacting with all these things, right? So, what are you doing for yourself to let yourself feel comforted and clear and just like taken care of in that way? And I know I said two more, but I just want to get one more thing for you. The Hanged Man. Okay, so surrender. I feel like, a message I got towards the tail end of these readings for you guys, it's like you can't control everything. Okay, you can have all the information in the world and you still cannot control every single part of life. Not meant to scare you, just supposed to be a fact. If we can accept that and we can focus more on, okay, do I trust myself to get through things, to handle things, to make a way for myself, to commit to myself, to show up for myself? That's where we want to put our energy. I'm just, instead of just like, let me control every single thing outside of me, instead. Right? So not giving up control of everything, but just being empowered to choose where we put our time and energy and effort so we're not making ourselves feel totally exhausted trying to figure out, this is the thing for me, this is not the thing for me. We can use our discernment of like, where is my time and energy best well spent? And it's typically on things we can control, not things we cannot control. Okay, I'm going to close with two oracle cards for you guys. A new earth is happening. Keep holding the vision. So this is This could be on the individual, the collective level, whatever you want to, however it's resonating for you, maybe both. Okay. But again, choosing your own unique path to joy means choosing the new earth, the new blueprint, the new life, the new way you want to be for yourself. And that also means contributing to the way that society is evolving and becoming more clear and just and progressive and, open-minded and fair and kind, right? Less exploitative, right? So hold the vision, keep going. And again, this is that piece also of like surrendering to, this is what I can control, this is what I cannot control. What I can control is my choices, how I think about the world, what I'm doing, how I'm showing up, what's happening, right? Versus these other factors I can't control, what can I do within what's given to me? And just, holding the vision, having patience with yourself, having compassion for yourself, giving yourself grace. You're not going to be perfect right away. You're not going to get it right away. It's not what everyone wants to hear, but it's true. Okay. We do have to learn our lessons in our time, and we do need to work in a way that feels good for us. Diamonds are formed under pressure. So again, this isn't like to romanticize suffering or hardship or anything, but this is what I was talking about in terms of, there are some things we can only learn in this life when we have struggled, when we've been faced with hardship, when we've been faced with, and again, I'm not talking about like oppression or abuse or things that are inexcusable. I'm talking about when things don't go our way, when we're attached to a certain outcome and it doesn't happen, when we want it to be our timeline and our way and our this, right? So some of these challenging things that are part of life, it's like that's some where we can connect to parts of ourselves that we wouldn't connect to in any other setting. And so really recognizing that and honoring that for what it is. And again, not just being like, yep, God, make my life as hard as you want all the time, right? But we're not special. It happens to everyone. And again, not to be dismissive, but why do I think I'm above suffering? Why do I think I'm above having the human experience that every other person has in a different form for everyone, but everyone has this. And so just having faith in yourself, and again, what you learn about yourself, what you learn through this process, and what you learn about who you are and what that means for yourself. Okay, I'm going to close with one affirmation card for you. Group 3. I open my mind and say yes to life. Okay, so again, this is, besides that I choose my unique path to joy, the other message I'm getting here very strongly for you, group 3, is just that like it's a God's doing stuff for us and we're doing our own stuff. So if you're still in this individualistic, I can control everything, I can get whatever I want, I can this, and this, right? You have to focus, well, you don't have to, but the message I'm getting here is if you open your mind and say yes to life, then you can experience a whole new level of existing, and so many things can be brought to you that maybe you weren't aware of before, you weren't thinking of before, right? And that will take you to these whole new levels of just like what we can imagine for ourselves is just one teeny tiny little drop in the ocean of what actually could come to be for us if we stay open-minded, we stay open to life, we choose our unique path within that river of where we're being led. So I open my mind and say yes to life. Okay, that's everything I have for you. Thank you so much for choosing to be here with me today. If you ever want any more information about me, all that is linked below. Thank you so much, and I hope you have a wonderful day.